Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised it's not automatic. Is it? Isn't it those, I don't even know what that did.
All right, well, it's 6 o'clock, gang. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna call this meeting to order of the City of Farmers Branch Multicultural Task Force. It is Monday, November 13th. It is 6 PM and welcome all attending tonight. And before we get into the official business, I do want to recognize we have a first-time attendee. Mr. Jaime Rivas is here. Welcome to our group here, and just want to remind, I'm gonna go ahead and what we did for the first meeting was just, we went around the room and just everyone kind of gave a little brief bio and why they're excited to be on this committee, so we're gonna let you take it away.
Great, we're gonna do it again, we start over there.
Well,
No, hi, Mr. Rivas, I mentioned districts earlier, so I'm in District 3. I live down the street from James Stark Elementary, but, you know, I did something earlier this year that caused me to be a little bit more involved with the city and, you know, now I look for every opportunity to serve in some capacity. And, you know, I'm excited to be here, excited to see what we can do just to kind of highlight the different cultures and, you know, make everybody feel welcome. So, all I got.
Great, thanks. Glad you're here. Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome. And just a reminder, that, you know, we do the owl, again, that's the device up here that will move around the room based on who's speaking. So we all clearly speak to the owl and it will record everything, because everything is recorded on the meeting. So it's a new policy that the city has enacted. And so with that, I'm going to go right into the first order of business, which is approving the minutes from the October meeting. These were all sent out to you for review. And so at this time, unless there are any changes or things need to be made to that, one last review before we call for the approval of those minutes and voting by the task force. So if they all look fine, we just need a motion and a second to approve these meeting minutes. So we have a motion by Al Mahesh for a second.
I'll second.
A second by Rob Bliss. Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the October meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the minutes are adopted. So we're gonna kind of go back into a little bit, I know we were rushed with things, but just kind of briefly touching on some of the member expectations and things to kind of, as you go through this with us, and, you know, again, we're all learning here as we go, we're evolving, this is the new task force, so, but Megan's got a couple of reminders that she'll touch on.
The first reminder is the meeting is recorded, that Jeff said that the owl will rotate with you and it'll pick up on the screen whoever is talking, so that once the meeting ends, we can send it to our communications department and they will upload it to the Farmers Branch YouTube channel, and it can be viewed at any time by residents. Second, the restrooms are right here. Third, the door does have to stay open because it is a public meeting. And then the last thing is as you're going forward, we're very excited that you're excited to be on the task force. If you could just remember that we are all volunteers on the task force, and please happily promote us. And when you speak to people about the event, just reference yourself as a volunteer for the City of Farmers Branch on the Multicultural Task Force. So that is all I have from expectations.
And Elizabeth, this year's chair, she voted on at our first meeting. I just wanted to add something to this a little bit.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. One small piece of just important information is that we really need to be at our meetings. I noticed there are a couple of people that are outside, and I know that sometimes things come up and we're not able to, but we met, Anna and Jeff and I met last week, and we need all of us here. So we were able to make some important decisions about our committees, and I think that it's better if all of us are able to make contributions to the meeting. So I know that, Jeff, I know that, if we're not able to physically be there, I know that Jeff and his team will do everything in their power, to make, for us to be together via Zoom or whatever, whatever needs to be done. We don't have a lot of time. I mean, basically, it's Christmas, basically, so that's basically shot. And we have just a very short amount of time to put this together. And thank you for being here. We know that everyone's a volunteer, by the way, but it is important. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thank you, Elizabeth. So, we had talked about, how these meetings are going to function, and basically they're going to be these committee updates and where we will, hash out and talk more about how our committees have come to making decisions and things that we have fleshed out and our side meetings that we've been having. We came up with some committees at our first meeting, again, just with the staff, just kind of coming up with what we thought were some core type committees, and we assigned folks to those committees, and it was the entertainment, marketing, decor, food and vendors, and then the education / demonstrations. These can evolve, these can change names, just kind of depending on how we kind of go through this process. And so those were just the initial committees that we came up with. And as Elizabeth said, I know marketing committee has met, so we're just going to kind of go through, and some of the committees have not met, like the core has not met, but some of the crucial ones have met. So we're just going to kind of go through and give our committee updates, because some things that we talked about at the first meeting have kind of adjusted a little bit based on the subcommittee getting together and kind of talking through some things. So that's kind of really how these meetings are going to go. We'll just kind of go through our updates, and then the staff, gets back and just goes full on to work and things. But so I'm going to kind of go right into the first committee update, which was the entertainment committee.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Can you just talk about the use of the city logo on professional social pages? It's on the agenda. That was
Yes, so just so you know, I mean, using the city logo, just be mindful of that, because the city's kind of particular about how that gets used on your social pages and things like that. And if they're posting, just be mindful that, it could get the city kind of in a pickle if that gets used. So just be mindful of that if you're using using that logo. However, we do want you to use the logo that we have come up with, which we'll share with you later in the meeting today. So a little different there. So yes, I'm telling you on one hand not to use, I want you to use the other one. So a mixed message here, but
Today,
we,
because I know when we talked a couple of days ago, you said that you didn't like going.
yes, so we put someone to work real quickly. No, and we came up with something. We hope you will like it. And Sandy will speak to that a little bit later, but yes, but thank you for bringing that up. So, but yes, that logo would be something that identifies, I think, with the event and captures the name of what we're doing here. So I'm going to quickly kind of go into the entertainment update. Met last week, and some of the things we strategized about was musical part of this. And as staff has gone to some other events recently, thinking that we might close out with maybe a big musical act, probably not going to go that route anymore, not at least in year one. We think it's more of a cultural performances throughout the day, and highlighting different cultures instead of, you can blow a lot of money on a musical act, and the time it takes to set that act up and what they need on the stage and the technical aspect. We just felt like, year one, let's just crawl before we run, and let's get just the many cultural performances that we will just try and highlight as many as we can. The idea of a fashion show came about as a possible entertainment on the main stage, and we think that's something we will incorporate into the event throughout the day as a component of the programming. Anna had a great suggestion about a kids area and how she would love to take over that and program that and head that up. But so those are just some things that kind of came out of that entertainment strategy we had. And right now we're going to kind of go through some of the applications process of getting the word out. And but that was probably the main thing that came out of the entertainment meeting is foregoing the whole musical type act. That doesn't say that you couldn't have some type of cultural performance that has musical components to it. That's not what we're saying. We just thought we would devote like maybe Yes, ma'am.
Well, you were saying that we could do stuff like mariachi bands or stuff that didn't require like.
Yes,
the
a great
amount of
example.
setup or things like that.
Right.
It's kind of like more like smaller, like musical things, but not like where it's like takes like 30-hour minutes to like set up and then take down.
Yes, mariachi's a quick on, it's plug and play kind of thing, but definitely those would be all day. It's just not a 8-piece, 9-piece band that would require sound check and getting them on there and taking up a lot of our budget. Because with some of the initial things that we found is, some groups want a stipend, which is fair, $500 or what they would want to perform and, want 30 minutes, it needs to be worth their time to come out here and gather their team together and dress and perform. So we don't just want to say, well, you've got 5 minutes, you need to make it kind of worth their while. So that was a good meeting we had with the entertainment committee, and we will, as Sandy's going to go in a little bit later about this Google Docs, and we have been hard collecting and gathering information of groups that are out there that we're going to start hitting hard as far as seeing if there's interest. And it'll be an email from us, the city staff, just, telling them who we are, what we're doing, and if there's interest in multiple areas. It could be food, it could be performance, it could be kids area, it could be nothing more than a booth that they have, a cultural booth there. So a lot of ways for a group and organization to participate. So that's kind of how we've been evolving with the entertainment, and we'll continue to evolve. Anything you guys, Elizabeth, want to add to that? And on the committee?
We talk about the applications for like the fashion show part were different than what we were doing for like the other applications for the entertainment.
Yeah, Fanny, we'll touch on that a little bit, yeah, because there'll be like 3 or 4 different applications for this
Right.
one event, yes.
We did talk about the applications, and depending on what the interest is, we'll make a determination about how much time people will have to perform. Right, we have, 40 different performers. We also talked about the possibility of, rather than trying to encompass every single culture, which we would fail miserably, I think. We talked about maybe focusing on a certain amount of cultures this year, and then next year possibly, and moving forward, focus on other cultures. So that we give everybody sort of their time.
Yeah, she's not saying like, we're not gonna focus on like, like pick and choose, but it's more like when it's your first year doing something, you don't want to go in too big, but you don't want to go in too small either. So it's kind of like we could put the focus on what we're gonna focus on right now, and then as it grows, we can like expand on that. Because if you go in like doing too much, then that's kind of automatically you're gonna fail at what you're doing.
Hearing that, it seems kind of ambiguous. So what exactly are you sort of saying? Is not too big, not too small? What exactly?
Well, we've got a list of probably 40 to 50 organizations we've been cultivating, and we're gonna send them all an email. I just said, hey, this is what we're doing, and see what the interest is. And from there, as I was telling the group, it may be like a storyboard where we're saying, okay, this group is available, they want $1,000. Wow, we'd love to do them, but can't afford them this year. So it's just kind of seeing a lot of it's gonna be based on the interest that comes back. Does the date work for them? Does the time work? And just kind of getting the responses and just seeing, okay, what fits? What can we make happen? That group's only available at 4:00. Wow. It's not gonna work, it's gonna be kind of a storyboard, and really it's just who wants to participate. And if we have so much, I hope that's the case. We may just say, we don't have a place for you, but maybe kind of could use it in the children's area. It just kind of depends on responses that we get back. And
So what's the definition of being a group? Like who you're setting these up? Who are you setting them up to?
it's the group that's on the Google Docs. There's a whole
It's on the
spreadsheet,
Google.
a whole spreadsheet.
But you can look at
And the
this.
share drive, I don't know if these, were all of y'all able to open that?
I found it was.
Yeah, I've heard that. This is like everything that's on.
Is everybody taking the email? Is that everyone's Okay, so we were invited,
It's not
Okay,
passcode.
so it's a host of, and these are the things that we've been discovering in our travels, just in our conversations with colleagues around North Texas, just doing searches. It's just, we're building this, and it's food, it's entertainment, it's cultural groups that we're discovering in I'm just doing a Google search, Irish Society of North Texas. Well, then Scarborough, things just start popping. Okay, that's a group there. So it's just been evolving. So that's what we're talking about.
And we've also all been invited to actually help to populate that document.
So we can put more, if I have a group, I
Absolutely.
put it on here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So they invited us in one of the emails.
Yeah, and it's not, it's food, it's a group that's, maybe it's a marketplace, and maybe it's something that's
Yeah.
outside the scope. For example, not to get ahead of myself, but I just sent an email to Major League Cricket. I'm like, okay, there's a team in North,
Yeah.
the Dallas Super Kings. Their vice president of marketing responded back, and because they have a huge World Cup playing, Dallas is one of the host cities, and it's in June of next year. I introduced ourselves, said, this is what we're doing, we'd love to have you out there in some capacity, whether it be demonstrations, a booth.
Yeah.
So it's not really a cultural organization, but
Right.
it represents, it fits what we're,
Yeah. It's a global sport.
yes, yes. So that's kind of,
Well, this right here is grown since it was printed out, like, what was that, however many days ago?
yes.
So I know I've added stuff, I don't know if you've added stuff, but I mean, anyone can add to this, so.
Please let me know if, because it's not passcode protected. So if it's asking for that, I did not put a passcode on it, but I invited each of you to it.
Yes.
So please email me if you cannot get in to it. Because I think, Janet, you said you have to have somebody help you.
Yeah, the passcode, and then I would like
It
click
was asking
paste,
for-
and then it wouldn't work.
Yes.
It took about 5 times. to
Same
finally
thing.
do it.
Okay.
It's not, it's okay, it's like one time, like 1 hour. Yeah.
Because when I sent it to you the first time, it was for you to view it. And then I sent it, then I made all of you able to edit. So that you can add to this ongoing spreadsheet.
Thank you.
Is there a spot that indicates who added it? Does that matter to you at all?
We can add that if you'd like.
Okay.
I can just add a column and put who added the information. I can do that.
A lot of things are about relationship. If if I know these particular groups and they're not available, but suddenly can be
Right, yeah.
You can connect.
I think it would be nice.
One of the group I just added this afternoon because I talked to the president and he just told me to be a contact person. So I put my contact.
Oh, good.
Oh, good, good.
They can come from way.
Oh, wonderful. And Al, what were you saying? Well, what is that?
I may have missed it, but was there a meeting, the subcommittee? I did not get any email. on that.
So
We
there
don't,
hasn't been one for decor and there hasn't one been on for food either. And then,
Entertainment.
we had
there was one for entertainment.
entertainment. That was last, I
Thursday,
thought you
4:30.
responded to it.
I did, but I never got a Zoom link.
Yeah, I was expecting Zoom as well, but I just found out today it's a physical meeting.
Well, they emailed and told us it was.
Okay, I'm sorry. I must
Yeah,
have-
the email came from me stating
Okay,
that it was Thursday at 4:30 in the Parks and Rec conference room and where the Parks and Rec conference room was. And then I sent you a follow-up email with the invitation to the,
I think when you said initially that you could do Zoom, it was because we could not land on a time. And then when we narrowed down a time, I don't think we understood that you still wanted to do Zoom. I thought we found a time that worked for everybody to be there. So we're working through this. So I think that's what happened.
Wrist slap.
I think that's what happened on that one. Now that,
I was expecting a Zoom.
okay, all right, we'll get it figured out next time. But does Zoom always work best for you then? Or just depends on when we can meet?
If you tell me this is the time,
Okay,
and I say, yes, I'm gonna be there, I'll be there.
gotcha. All right. Well,
and until I go out on maternity leave, I'll be sending the emails for Jeff. So it'll come from Megan Bernard.
And when's that due date, Megan?
Middle of December at the moment. Yes,
okay, so anything else with entertainment before we, 'cause we got-
this is the document.
So I just wanted to clarify, we are considering, or y'all are considering groups that may ask for a stipend.
we've already been notified that groups that are expecting that in the
Okay.
neighborhood of $500 was the first. And it may be more, maybe less. And we have a budget for this. That was and part of that. So it can be, it's just how we manage that.
Right.
And, and so that, once you set a precedent though, I mean, it's, and I expect that. I mean, the costumes and things, there's travel. I mean, we understand that. So we're prepared for that. It's just managing the budget.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
But if we can get it free, that would be better.
Right, yeah. I just wanted to ask because in case I come across a group and it says they're gonna require this amount and I don't just automatically just cross off.
I mean,
I'll go and add them.
Yeah.
we honestly, in our travels and our experience, I would prefer to pay because it gives them something, we're signing an agreement. It's not just, hey, we've found that people just say they show up. There's no money involved. They don't show up. But there'll be an actual physical agreement that they sign with the city. I mean, we have to get a W-9 from them and, hopefully it's a 501 or some sort of, organization or business name that we'll have to pay, but we prefer to go that route at the end of the day because it's just free stuff. People, it's free.
We explored the, I mean, I guess, but that extensively, like the high schools have programs, universities have programs as well. That could showcase some movies.
Yeah, the ISD has mariachi,
Yeah.
and have a,
Full
girls have a lot.
Yeah, so it's kind of explore that.
And then, Queen, I would say too, if you talk to someone and they give you an amount, go ahead and put the amount in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Because in that way, when we're starting to look at our budgets to see what could we, because sometimes we can move some monies around if we think, oh, there's something we would like to be able to be there. So the more information we have, the better.
$500 is what's been,
The average.
that's, the two that have been, so far it's been 500 apiece. The miraculously they're 500 apiece. So, but I kind of feel,
Doesn't matter. I was just gonna ask, as people who want to do the booths, because we decided on what they pay.
yes,
And that- I'll cover that
Okay,
thing coming up.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Entertainment, Rob, did you have some?
Well, I think my question was what Jan was saying is like I belong to the Canada Club. So I was gonna approach them to, how to participate, or do you just can we just get like a booth? So I didn't know what the difference between like having a group, having a booth, and so I'm still kind of.
I think when I cover the booth part of that, we'll get into more detail.
Thank you.
And then here's just a link or what the Excel spreadsheet looks like, and it's live. So anytime you want to add something, it would automatically populate and everyone would get that population as it's happening.
And one point I want to make is even if you're not on that committee, the tabs are divided up at the bottom. Like if you happen to go to an event and there's a vendor that's selling things from their country and you think, oh, this is a great fit, get their information and put it in. We're all helping each other. So, that's the best way for all of us to be on the same page. And then we'll also see, like, I noticed I went in and, Anna had put quite a few in the food. And I had some that there were duplicates. So I didn't need to put that information in because she had already done some research on her own. So, and y'all feel free, because, everybody's busy. Our plates are really full. We have a huge event coming up with Christmas in like 3 weeks. So anything y'all can do that you don't already see in there or research, or we would appreciate all your efforts.
So when I worked for the rec center, we had to do all the events. Will we be using the students from Summer Sunshine and that work at the rec center to help run like the children's?
Well, they won't, of course, be on staff yet because we'll be in March, but but typically we do ask if they have part-timers who want to work, we'll bring them over.
Can you go back to the convey world?
Would you like me to scroll up?
I can just sort of share with this printed copy it's not fully updated, but just so you can have an idea of it. I'm gonna email it.
Yeah, and please let me know if you still can't get into that so I can figure out why.
Who sent that? Who sent that?
I did.
Next.
Wow, this is amazing.
Okay. All right, so we want to move to the marketing.
Yep.
Committee. Okay. So we did get to meet and we had the opportunity to sit down. Rob was nice enough to take notes with them to us after. And we went over several things for that meeting. I won't go into the complete detail, but basically we talked about what's the most important aspect of the marketing perspective, where the majority of some of our budget would go to. And we have found, I think we might have mentioned before, if we hadn't, that we found that the bigger bang for our buck is typically on social media boosts and posts. So that's probably will be our focus. We discussed that. We also talked about it really being a grassroots effort. So this doesn't have to be like just this, the marketing committee, but anyone who has connections that we're gonna take care of all the city, like we're gonna have H-frames made and we'll put them on city property. But if you have connections with your HOA, your church, anyone who's willing to put those H-frames, those signs out that are not part of the city, we would love for y'all to be able to help with that. And then we'll probably do some posters. You don't find as many people sometimes really want to put those things up in their windows. You've got some businesses that will. So we'll reach out to those, but any way that we can, anytime there's a first time event, it's the hardest part, right? Is to get the word out.
And when will those signs, the A-frames?
So actually, we'll start working on that as we move.
Probably, we would not put those out, probably end of February. I mean, there's kind of a,
Right. We don't want to-
that magical window there. You want to get those out, not too early, but probably end of February, at least a month. We would get those out.
And then,
Basic question. Is this a free event to attend?
Yes.
yes, yes. And then we also talked, Rob was nice enough to offer services and to do a promotional video. So we're gonna work on that. We're having to come up with what will our content be since it's our first time. Next year, we'll have a lot more content because we'll have from the event. So he's gonna work on that as soon as we get more, progress more in the process itself. And then we did talk about sponsorships, and we're not gonna focus on sponsorships this year, mainly because there's so many other things that are, for us, is more important. Now, we're not gonna turn someone down who comes to us if they're a good fit, because we want them to make sense for the event. And then I'll get into more detail when we get to the booster in a minute. And then we talked about a little about concessions as well, and the events that we had attended and what we had learned from them. I don't know if there's anything Anna or Rob would like to add in regards to the meeting.
Not for the marketing part. I just know, I think we're just waiting on what you said you'll show us later. The logo. So, but you're on the show right now.
Gateway to the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the.
So the core committee has not met yet, so we will start getting, I think, once the logo and things, we'll start coming up with some ideas. Everything from the stage to the entrance, what people will see, they feel when they come into the event. So we've not yet met on that, but more information is coming. And the other committee we had was the education and demonstrations type committee. Now, last meeting, Samantha, that was up here with us, Samantha Lindy, our fourth of our team, her last day is going to be 1st of December. She is moving out to East Texas with her family, so I'm going to be taking over that committee. And that demonstration exhibits, I'm kind of defining that as anything that's not on the stage. And so what would be an example of that? Well, like I mentioned earlier, the Major League Cricket, I pitched them on cricket demonstrations with the players or something for the kids, teaching them how to play cricket. At the Asian American Festival in Garland, I saw the Chinese dragons and the firecrackers that went off. And so something, just anything that's not on the stage is kind of where that falls into. And so that kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking for that. Again, we've not met with that yet. I'm taking over that from Sam. So that committee is, I think we've got Jaime, Elizabeth, and myself are on that. That's all right.
So I think you had, I thought you were talking about appointing Jamie to the education.
I did.
I didn't, sorry.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that in my head, I promise.
So I think that's us three. So we'll put something together and meet on that. That kind of gives you an idea of what that committee is, but we could use one more. It's not just us two. We have room for more if there's interest on that.
Okay, so as far as food, we haven't had a formal meeting only because as we have discussed and I told y'all, and I had a lot of conversations with Anna about this too. The legislation really caused a lot of restrictions, but put us in a position where we just didn't have a whole lot of choices. And for our Bloom and Bluegrass Festival, we found ourselves really in a pickle because all of it fell about in September 1st and our event is every 6 months later. So we have had a lot more trucks come on because they have to be permitted in Dallas County. So if you do happen to be out and you find a food truck and you think, oh, this looks like a great food truck that would be a good option that represents a certain culture, feel free to add them. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be already approved, but they could be working towards getting their county permits. So, and right now our focus is food trucks, mainly because they're gonna be able to give us that eclectic offering that we're looking for. I think Jeff and I, when we went to the Plano Festival, we were both a little disappointed in the food offerings. So I really want to nail this when it comes to that.
Yeah, and I know you had sent me, I think you sent it to Muhammad too, the list of all like the regulations and everything.
Yes.
When we're looking for that. I did talk to him a couple times on the phone. Like I said, we haven't officially had like an official meeting, all three of us together. But I did talk to him and he said that he was looking into some, I guess, food truck companies out of Irving. I don't know if he talked to you about that.
Who is this?
The other person on there.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so,
right.
like I said, we haven't strictly met other than what we were talking about.
Yeah, and we'll coordinate. I think the best thing we can do to start with that is go off what's already on the permitted and want that represents that, get them on board,
Mhm.
which I'll start making those phone calls. Cause I was very excited to see there were already like 3 or 4 that were gonna fit. And then just deciding, which foods make sense, cause some of them, I mean, I tried some different foods at the Plano International, and it was exciting. It was fun. It wouldn't have been something maybe I would have normally tried. So that's kind of where we're at that. And then we changed, I'm sorry.
Does Dallas County have a list of the food trucks that are?
That's what they sent to our health manager, and then she sent it to me.
Okay.
And so we asked for an updated list, they are bombarded right now, so sometimes it's even hard to get. So it doesn't hurt for us to be asking, and sometimes the problem is if they're only gonna do one event in Dallas County, they don't wanna pay the $1,500 permit fee. So that's where the struggle comes in, so. But we did change the name to that particular food and vendors. So I'm gonna kind of walk through that a little bit, unless y'all have anything else to add about food or questions about food. So what we're gonna do from an application perspective for vendors, and vendors are falling into the categories that we'll go over in regards to booth fees. But there'll be 3 applications, and we're gonna do them through Google Forms. We think it's the easiest way for us to capture the information. Because we're a city, we're gonna have to take the application once we choose them to be part of the event, then they have to sign a formal agreement with us, because they have to sign up for harmless, so there's a lot more involved in the city. But we'll have a Google form for the fashion show, for performance, and then for booth vendors. And those booth vendors will be divided up into commercial, and those will be $300. So these are companies or organizations that make sense. Like, for instance, Jeff mentioned cricket. Now, we may do an in-kind or something with them, depending upon if they're willing to come out and do like a demonstration of the game, then maybe we give them an in-kind for the booth space. If they only want to be there and have a booth, then they need to pay. And then we'll have small business, which will be $150. I know this will include their tent, a table, and 2 chairs. I say that meaning too that until we run out. So if we do run out of tents, it will be on the application if the tents are first come, first served. And if we do not have any tents left available, they'll be responsible for bringing their own tent, and it has to be white. Because we want a uniform look.
You said 150?
150 for small business, and then nonprofits. As much as we would like to do that at no cost, we have found that when we do that, as Jeff mentioned before, they just won't show. They're okay with, we don't feel like, if we don't feel like coming, we don't stay in the game. So there'll be $100 for the nonprofits.
But it includes a tent, so,
Yes, and that's a really good price, honestly, to include, and a tent set up for you, by the way.
yeah.
It's not like the tent's just laying on the ground, and it's already staked and ready for you. So,
So that would be something like your Canadian Club would be.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
and then what will happen, when Jeffrey starts sending out to these lists, what we'll do is we'll include the link to the Google Forms for them to go on and be able to fill out their applications.
Any else can share documents?
Oh, yes, so, no, I think we kind of covered that. So if anyone does have any questions about the shared Excel spreadsheet, let me
So this is
know.
what was showing up. Enter a verification code and it said, we'll send you an email, but there was no email.
No, it's email.
And then right now I just did it on the email and it did send an email, but this is what I kept getting.
Okay, so this is what you got first?
Yeah, this is what I kept getting and this is what I just got right now. I just got this right
Okay,
now.
I need to figure out why
And then-
it's asking me for
But
that.
this time it actually did send an email. So,
Because I didn't make a code.
so there's the.
Oh, so it gives you a
Yeah,
code.
it just sent it, but the first 3 or 4 times there was no
It took
code.
4 or 5 times that was on the page.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
No, no.
That's okay. Such a pain.
Yeah.
Like, oh, boy.
That's why I keep that in.
Okay, and I will put a note to myself to add, a column that has, who put the note there, okay? So that way we'll know who the contact is.
And the three vendors, fashion show, booths, and.
So you performers. So fashion show performers and then booth vendors.
How many booths are we? I'm going to do, our goal.
We've got about 40 tents that we can, which is, I'd be happy if we get 40 participants. So,
Yeah.
I mean, worst case, you know, and some of those, again, if they have a branded tent, they're more than welcome. That's probably the only exception. If it's a branded, professional looking tent, like we anticipate that hopefully some groups have.
A branded white professional kind, if they have it branded.
Well, even like, well, I was at, the Richardson event last weekend and UTD School of International Business had their own branded UTD tent. That's fine. It looked great. It was professionally done. That would be the exception, but we've seen some people that just.
You don't want them to bring their Coleman tailgating kind of tip.
Yeah.
And if you've been to our events over the years, you've seen the events kind of evolve to a more professional, sleek look where everything looks the same versus here's a tent,
Yeah.
blue, green, it's all white, it all looks professional and sleek.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
question. Is there going to be security, police and fire will be there?
Yes, absolutely. As I mentioned the last time, you know, the city is behind this event, not just from a financial standpoint, from a staffing. You'll have, PD there in their normal capacity. They'll kind of sit down, look at attendance and what they're expecting, but anytime we shut down Ford Road, they're there and they're outside the park, they're inside the park. I don't know if First Aid will actually have a tent there, but yes, the city will be, you know, the communication director. This will be I'm not saying it's all hands on deck. I mean, code enforcement's not gonna be there, but you never know. The city might put out some tent, the library might have a tent, you know, they'll be behind us.
So, I volunteer for Citizens in Patrol.
Mhm.
We do these kind of things.
Sure.
We're always there. So I hope you will allow us to.
Yes, absolutely. So what we do with PD is at the beginning of the year, I send out an event schedule to the police department. They sign up officers who are going to be the lead. And then as the event approaches, they then say, we need 8 officers for this event. Their 8 officers sign up. Then the week before the event, we sit down, PD, fire, and special events team sit down and we discuss all of the logistics of the event, where road closures are, where squad cars are going to be, how many COPs are needed for the event, where we need the officer station and things like that. And then the Tuesday or Wednesday following the event, we sit back down with them and have an after action to go through. Did we have enough officers? Did we need more? Were they in the right locations? And did we have enough COPs for the event so that we know going forward for each event, what was needed, what was not needed. So COPs will definitely be invited. I know y'all are at Bluegrass in the parking lot area and roaming the event as well. So we rely on the COPs a lot, and we will rely on y'all for their Christmas event coming up.
You're right.
And I hope city departments will want to participate. It's an excellent outreach for all the city departments, you know, whether it's public works or the library, and, you know, they'll be invited to have a booth and have presence there, so. Hopefully they'll, but definitely PD, that's definitely good. So I think that kind of wraps up our committee updates at this point. Is anybody want to add to that before we move on to the next item? Okay, so, discuss event details. We had kind of the who, what, why, when, where. The event site, nothing has changed significantly. I would encourage you to, the December 2nd event, which is the Christmas celebration. If you attended this event in years past, it's been out at the Grove and Liberty Plaza where we shut down the street and light the tree. That has all changed this year, shifting to the historical part because of the upcoming road construction of Denton Drive. So we're having to rebrand the event, and take it to the historical part for on that first Saturdays. But I would encourage you to come, and just start seeing how the park is used. Obviously the event center that's being built right now, we think it will come online in March of how it may or may not get used in this event. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But just to kind of come out there and see how the event will be set up though. Now there'll be fireworks at this event. So a lot of the event site will be, because of the fireworks, will not be in use, but it just kind of gives you an idea how things, where the public parks and how they just move around the site. So that is coming up on December 2nd. You'll be getting a notification, an email from Linda Gaucine, our admin, just kind of a little bit more information about where to park and everything as task force members. But please come out and enjoy it with your family that night on December 2nd.
What's that called again?
Well, we're calling it, it's not a tree lighting because the tree is technically staying at the Grove. It's already up right now, as a matter of fact. We were there earlier before this meeting. We're branding it a Christmas celebration. So like, we're not using the word of tree lighting because that's not happening this year.
The tree is at its home.
The tree is at its permanent location, which we wish we could just pick it up and move it, but not that easy. 45 feet. Yes.
So for this Gateway to the Globe event, are we still stay with the 4 to 9 PM?
No, that's.
I'm gonna
actually, that's the
discuss that
very-
in just a.
That's the very next
Yes.
item to be discussed.
Good segue.
Yes, thank you.
To piggyback though off of Jeff's comment about the park and the layout, it'll be a lot like Independence Day with the fireworks blocked off. However, the parking lot that we would typically allow VIPs to park in is not accessible because that's where we'll launch our drone show. So just so you also know why things are cut off and there's not specific parking for this event, it's because we're launching a drone show from that location.
Wow. Twice the size of last year's drone.
Yes, twice the size of last year's drone show.
Yes.
It's gonna be fun. We just previewed the drone show as well, so. Okay, but back to Gateway to the Globe. The date is still March 23rd. And after attending quite a few events throughout the Metroplex over the last few weeks, we've come to the conclusion that we believe an 11 to 5 PM timeframe works better than a evening timeframe. We think that more people will attend with their families in the day versus coming at night. We notice as well that a lot of families like to stay home and do things with their families in the evenings because they might not get to do it on the weekend. So we believe that an 11 AM to 5 PM would be a better time frame for this event. And that's based on Sandy attending the First International Market in Dallas, the Plano International Festival, the Core in the district in Richardson, and then the Asian American Festival in Garland. So that's just kind of the 4 that we've all attended and think that this is a better time frame.
Anybody get a chance to go to any of those recently?
That's the Plano one.
What'd you think?
I thought it was neat, and I agree with you with the food trucks. I was a little disappointed in the choices, but I tried I think it was like the Korean one.
I had
That
that.
was really good.
Yeah, I had that. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we learned a lot from that. Just, obviously they've been doing it 17 years, I believe.
Mhm.
So we felt like that was a good barometer to kind of see how they were doing things. And that was really the shift. And we just watching how they did it, everything from the MC to the height of the stage. I was taking it all in, saying, okay, just thinking about our event, but learned a lot, all the flags they had there, just kind of getting ideas. The booths got a lot of ideas from them. So they were unknowingly a big help to us.
And I like they also had kind of a kids area, so I like the idea that y'all want to do that, So I brought my 2-year-old daughter with me and, it definitely was something she was interested in. Where everything else, she was just like, let's go. So-
Good, glad you went to that. So right now, Sandy's gonna tell you about the logo. Share that with you guys.
I'm with Charlie, so excited. So some of you reviewed last weekend, but some other, and I don't think Connie was able to come the first time. So what I'm gonna do for you again, because I'm so personal, so is I still want you to think about the location of the event. You've been to the historical park before. When you're coming down that, when you make that turn, okay, turn around, you walk in, we have flags representing the different countries. Okay, so in your vision, so this is how we came up when we were trying to sit down and come up with the name, and we came up with Gateway to the Club. Well, we did, when we first went to our marketing manager and said, here's what we're thinking, we started kind of Googling some different logos. We wanted something more modern. And we wanted something that wasn't the typical one you're gonna see. Now, when we got our first, because Anna said, really liked the one we got the first time, it was the ones we always see. And you probably would know it if you saw it. And we were like, this is not really the direction we're gonna go. Can you find something more modern for us? And when she said back, she kept going back and forth, and she came up with that. And we really, really are very excited. So it's a gateway to the world, a multicultural celebration.
Very nice.
And we try to go, as colors, represent a variety. So it's one of the reasons that's a very, very colorful logo. So this is always the first step before we can start actually promoting or making it and branding it. So we haven't posted anything yet. I love that. I love your eagerness to want to share. But as soon as you see us start sharing it, this is another thing I was going to say before, when it comes to that grassroots piece, once we start promoting the event, we want you guys, like, if you're in a mom's group, if you're anything like sharing the event once it gets posted. And we'll be able to take, now that we've had this and we've presented it to you, the next steps will be is that we'll update. Jeff will give an update to council as we make our progression, share that information, and then we'll actually create the website. And we'll build that as we go. Our marketing manager will take care of that. And then on top of that, then we'll have our social media company will start working on getting the event together. But this was one of the bigger pieces.
Nice
So,
job.
you like it?
I love it.
Yeah.
So as Sandy alluded to, what I've got to do now is kind of work up the chain and let the leadership of the city know that the task force has seen this, they like it, and this is kind of the look we're going with because time is of the essence. And so I've got to move that along and get the head nods, as they say, and everyone, but I'm confident that they will like this and we can move on. And then we'll start, as you say, building, branding, using it and official communication and channels throughout the city. But this was a big step of getting this look, getting this down. And so we hope you like it and glad that you do.
Can you explain how there's?
Oh, there's two, both will be used depending on the platform and the medium and what we choose and how it's gonna be, yard sign might be different than a digital ad. Kind of gives us the flexibility depending on the dimensions of the piece. So both will be acceptable to be used. Next, you.
Me, yes, sorry. Sandy, did you pass out the media kit?
I get.
The next thing that's going to come around for a handout is your first official document that has the logo on it. And for any event that we do a media kit with the event and we funnel it out to all of the facilities in the city so that if anyone was to call and ask a question at the rec center, the library, anywhere, they have the information to answer those questions. So this is our first draft at the media kit. As the event evolves, it will change, and you'll notice that we'll always put a date on it as of whatever date it is today. And I believe, yes, on the very bottom, you'll see back page, a starred note that says programming's activities and offerings are subject to change. So that allows us to have our flexibility as well. But this is just the first draft of our media kit, gives you all the information. So when we are ready to start that grassroots, or if someone asks you at church or an HOA meeting or wherever you might be, have you heard about this? Then you have the information you need to be able to answer any questions as of this evening.
So we can start sharing this.
You can share the information, question.
Just let us get. the-
Not the logo just yet.
So
Higher ups on the
when
logo.
can we start
Can
sharing
you,
the logo?
We'll
Can
let you
you
know.
email this?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you're so
I'm
excited.
so excited.
Now-
I can just forward it.
I was like, I waited to put it on my notebook. I showed it to y'all.
So the first three paragraphs, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna, I kind of went to some other international festival websites that I'm familiar with and just kind of like a good sign stealer from the, I kind of picked and choose and put something together that I felt kind of encompassed what we were doing here. So you feel free to, you don't like, the verbiage, does it make sense? Does it feel good? Does it kind of encapsulate what we're doing? I just kind of, I didn't use AI, but I did kind of look at some other pieces and put my own words to it. So anyway, I just say that as my disclaimer. So,
Hey, you wanted us to like give our opinion on?
well, I'm just saying that I wish I could take credit, but I've kind of thought about, well, let me go find some other sites that have been around for a long time and just kind of see what they're doing and does it fit with what we're doing and change things up a little bit. And, so that's what we came up with.
I noticed.
It's not a mission statement. It's just kind of here's what we're doing and why.
I noticed it says rain or shine.
Absolutely. Every farmer's branch event is rain or shine,
Okay.
unless it's Halloween,
Unless the park is flooded.
unless the park is flooded. So,
Halloween.
yeah. Okay. So that was kind of the last of our items there, just to give you an update on what we're doing internally, externally with our committee reports. That takes us through item B4. Any other event details, questions that y'all might have for us? Okay, the task force member update, we had one other, there's one other slot open. Actually, there's two, but they're gonna fill one more, and that is on tomorrow night's council agenda. I think on my email I sent to y'all that, one of the previous selections was not able to meet because of a scheduling conflict with work. So that opened up one slot. They opened the application process back up. I have no idea where that's landed. That's something the city council takes care of, but they are discussing that it's on the agenda for tomorrow night. They may or may not. The one council member, I think if y'all remember, each council member had two selections. I don't know where that may land. All that to say, we may have a new member at our next meeting, or we may not. We'll know more when you know more. That's tomorrow night's meeting. So that's the update on the task force, but it may be 10, it may be 11. That takes us to kind of winding things down here on the meeting. Discuss future agenda items. Does anyone have anything that they want us to include on next month? Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, there are different committees in the city. I belong to sustainability, and you're doing some really valuable work in the city. Would we be able to get a booth there?
That's what
Would we
we're,
have to pay?
no, not, no, I'm gonna put a joke there, but no. Sure, you can pay. No, all the city departments have an open invitation basically to participate in any city event. And we typically provide a tent. Some departments like some have their own branded tents. It's an open invitation, but at the next directors meeting, which we'll make sure now that our parks department has a parks director to make sure that the invitation gets extended but at the end of the day, the 40 tents, I would rather those go toward cultural groups,
Yes.
then, but yes, it does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, sustainability is everything.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have their own too?
Dragging,
I think they do.
You're
Okay.
passionate about it, is why you're on the committee, right?
But yes, there's an open invitation for all of our events for any city department that wants to come out there and work it. All right. Anything else that y'all want to put on the future?
So I mean, since we have a logo now, since I know Rob was talking about getting with you guys, marketing to do like a video or whatever. Is that something we could start laying out like the next couple of months until we get approval from everyone at the city to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. We can go ahead and use that, but kind of start figuring out what you guys want for that.
Well, I'm hopeful the logo is within a couple of weeks. I mean, it's
Well,
kind,
yeah, I know, but
but yes, I mean, the way to fast track, absolutely. If that's something,
We're allowed to, like, on social media, as an example, I can go on and say, hey, save the date, March 23rd, or do we need to wait until it's?
I think they need to create the event first. You want
all
to
right.
Yeah,
create.
we can have them do that. As soon as we just know that, like we said, everybody up the chain has it, and then we can push the event. So I don't think that would take long.
But to answer your question, as soon as things fall into place, and absolutely, I mean,
And we're very open to, like we talked about, because we have a lack of content. Like, we've got to come up with something really creative for the promotional video. So we've got some ideas. Jenna had a great idea that we talked about on the phone today that we're thinking about, that we would like to try to implement. We've got to kind of figure out the logistics of it first, so I don't really want to spill it yet. But, I think it's got great potential on what we can do, just because we are so limited. But you're very creative as well. So if you want to start storyboarding something,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was.
that's a great idea. Please.
Yeah, we didn't use the right. word.
No worries. No worries. Yes, definitely.
and also be thinking about, other events that we've done. If you think about it, there's always something that starts the event. What does that look like? If it's an Oktoberfest, it's the tapping of the keg. If it's Santa, he's arriving on a fire truck. I don't know. Start thinking about what would make sense for this event, to officially start it. It's 11:15. We've opened the gates at 11. People are filing in. What is it that lets people know, okay, it's kicked off. The event is now up and running. What would that look and feel like? I don't know. I'm saying, we know what we do at other events, Santa comes in and on the fire truck and boy, the event started, or, I don't know, just kind of be thinking about what that might be. I don't know.
What about a parade, like with everybody wearing like different,
Parade in, it could be,
Yeah.
It could be everybody who's in the fashion show.
kind of like when you go to Disneyland.
the cauldron, lighting of the, that's how Olympics, I mean, just, you kind of see that with events, what gets it started and what would make, so just kind of be thinking about it. And as our next meeting is on December 11th, and just kind of be thinking about it.
You guys have a source to get all the 50 flags or whatever?
That would be decor.
That would be, yes, I mean, there's companies we buy flags through, that we've done for other, so yes,
There's a local flag company in Farmers Branch.
there is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that I know through the chamber, so I thought I was gonna, if you didn't have a source, I would go to the.
Yeah.
35, yeah.
Absolutely,
You're local, you're.
yes, even better if they're, local.
Yeah, Farmers Branch and Grand.
Okay, sounds good. Unless there's any other items for future discussion, then we will, adjourn this meeting. I just need a motion to adjourn the meeting. By Anna Buford, I need a second. Second by Al Mahesh. All those in favor of adjourning? Aye.
Are we supposed to sign?
I'm gonna,
And
myself and Anna will sign that. All right, thank you all.
I think, why are we going to tell everybody?
So you'll give us the.
I will say like.